This episode of The Adventure Jogger is brought to you by Dan Brosnack, Blaine Johnston, Jenny Early, and Shannon Howell, and all the rest of our amazing Patreon supporters, and of course, you, the listener. Thanks for listening. The Adventure Jogger, a podcast about trail and ultra running. Meet fascinating runners from the front, middle, and back of the pack, sharing inspiring and funny stories about life and running. Running should be fun, and so should running podcasts. I'm your host, Stephen Kornhaus, and this is The Adventure Jogger. Well, hello, everybody. My guest today is a pretty esteemed athlete, a professional trail runner for the North Face. Just set yet another FKT, a fastest known time, has set quite a few over the years, won a few races, has a pretty nice resume, I would say. And I'm excited to have Michelino Sunseri on the podcast, professional runner for the North Face. Welcome, Michelino.
Cheers, Stephen. Nice to be here, man. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, absolutely. When I heard about this FKT, you just set the fastest time on. I was pretty impressed because I've seen this route before, and I don't know a lot about it, but a little bit. And I know that time that was there was pretty stout, and for you to best it is pretty darn impressive. So congratulations on an awesome run, which we'll get into all the details there here shortly. But first, if you don't mind, Michelina, what I'd love to do is kind of just hear how you got into running, trail running as a whole. Like, have you always been a runner your whole life, or what led you down that path?
Sure. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, like I said, thanks for having me on. Super stoked. I've actually only ever done one podcast a couple weeks
Oh, wow.
ago, and that was
Okay.
before the FKT. So this will be my
Nice.
first podcast after having done it, which is super special to me, and I really, really appreciate you having me. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on and hear all about it.
Cool. All right, let's get started, man. Let's see. Running history. So do you remember we had to do those presidential fitness tests years and years ago? So we did that. I went to school out in California.
Okay.
So we'd have to do presidential fitness tests. You had to see how many push-ups you can do in a certain amount of time, how many sit-ups you can do, how long you can hang on a bar, and then part of that was also the mile race. So I want to say I was
Okay.
probably in sixth, seventh grade, and we did the mile race. And I guess I ran a good time. I have no idea what it was, but my teacher said, and she's like, "Hey, you're pretty good at this. Like, maybe you should look into running and start doing this thing." I was like, "Oh, okay,
Nice.
yeah, maybe." So yeah, fast forward a little bit, a few years, didn't do anything competitive until about eighth grade. Eighth grade started running competitively in middle school, and I went to middle school in Incline Middle School over on the North Shore of Lake Tahoe in Incline
Oh,
Village,
wow.
Nevada.
Beautiful.
So beautiful place. We had so many awesome, flowy, beautiful trails, literally right outside our middle school. So
Nice.
really, from the start, most of my running career has been on the trails. Um, so that was how I really started. I mean, I grew up right next to the national forest. My parents were, awesome people, beautiful people. They gave, me and my brothers the opportunity to grow up in Tahoe. And
Yeah.
luckily we had single track. Literally, I could go out my front door, run right up the street, up the cul-de-sac, 200 meters on pavement,
Oh,
and then
wow.
immediately single track for, as many miles as you want. So
Oh,
like
man,
we,
sounds like a dream.
oh, such a dream, man. Very lucky, very privileged childhood for sure. Um, but yeah, so I mean, literally from a young age, I've been running trails. So yeah, I mean, continue that through high school. Had a really awesome high school coach who'd bring us to some of the most famous trails in all of Tahoe. We'd run the Flume Trail every other week.
Oh, wow.
So we were definitely blessed. Let's see. After that, went to college for running. Um,
Where'd you go to
was
school?
not. I went out to Malone University in Canton, Ohio,
Oh,
and
okay. Never heard of that.
it's a very small school. Yeah, it was
Okay.
NAIA at the time. They're D2 now.
Okay.
Yeah, small private Christian school.
Oh, nice.
Which there's a lot more rules than I thought before I got there. I learned a lot of crazy rules once I actually
Yeah.
showed up, and that was definitely funny.
What was the craziest rule?
Oh man. So if you could only have people of the opposite gender in your dorm room Saturday, Sunday, and then what, like Tuesday, Thursday, I think it was. And it was only from like 5 to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And you had to have, the door had to be at a 45-degree angle. The lights have to be on. This is literally a rule. Both people's feet have to be touching on the ground at all times. You can't, that's probably
Oh,
the
man.
craziest.
That's hilarious.
So pretty funny. But I mean, it's fine. I moved
Yeah.
off campus senior year, which was actually the year I quit running. So I quit.
Oh, wow.
I was actually injured most of college. I really
Oh,
did
no.
not run at all. Every single summer I'd be back in Tahoe and I'd get, trails and hills and mountains and, the terrain that I grew up doing. I'd be, healthy, super strong, like going
Right.
into the season ready to rip. And unfortunately, I think it's because of, there's multiple reasons. A lot of it has to do with, just running flat, monotonous concrete and pavement. And
Right.
I think that my body just does not like that. My body was not a fan, and I just could not stay healthy for the life of me.
What kinda injuries
So,
did you have through college?
oh, dude, name it. name
Oh, wow,
name a
just, like,
running
stress
injury.
fractures, everything?
I had a couple different stress fractures. I had,
Oh, wow.
hamstring issues, knee issues. The very first camp we went on freshman year, I ended up leaving camp with a knee injury
Oh,
and
man.
patellar tendonitis, stress fracture in the metatarsals, IT bands, whatever, Achilles
Gosh.
tendonitis, pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I was never injured in high school. Like I
Right.
had zero injuries in high school, and then all of a sudden, once I switched from trail to you know golf courses and pavement and
Track and yeah.
concrete, all that, like it just really, yeah,
W
not a happy body.
what kind of, volume were you running in college?
That's one of the other variables there is we, increase the volume quite substantially, but also increase the intensity as well. So I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
um, we it was not. I don't. Looking back on things and knowing what I know now, I would have changed that program drastically. I mean, we were doing, hill sprints on Monday, tempos on Tuesday, uh, you know, threshold stuff on Wednesday, Thursday easy, so that's great.
Yeah.
Friday easy. That's great. Saturday race, Sunday long run. So like it was a lot of intensity and a lot
So
of
instead of that eighty
quality.
20, it was more like 50-50 or 60-40.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
as college kids, testosterone pumping, everybody wants to race each
Sure.
other and our easy days are, it's like, yeah, well, our easy day was a 620 average this week. Like all
Nice.
of that thrown into it. It was just not the healthiest environment for me at
Yeah.
all.
Wow.
But so I could say I'd have to go fact check this because I don't know if it's actually true, but I'm pretty darn sure I never ran more than I ran less than 5 races on the track my entire college career.
Oh,
Like
wow.
there was no I couldn't survive through cross country. I wasn't able to race track,
Oh, geez.
but yeah, long story short, I quit. Senior year, I dropped out of that. Started getting into a lot of other things. Um, and then, yeah, I actually didn't take up running again until I was, I'd run on and off here and there, like, get the dog out and
Right.
whatnot. But I didn't actually start racing or training competitively again until I was, have to fact check this too, but like 26, 27.
Oh, wow,
Um,
not till later. Okay.
yeah, it's like 2018. I think I started taking it semi seriously again.
Okay.
So at least 4 years, 5 years off. Yeah.
Wow. And so when you started back up, like, what made you start back up running in 2018?
So there was, some things I won't talk about here, but there were some, there's a lot of things going on in my life.
Sure.
Those, 4.5, 5 years post college was I'm a bartender. I've been bartending for 12 years. I got
Oh,
back into
okay.
bartending, senior year of college and kept doing that. But with the service industry comes, quite a bit of other you know,
Yeah.
activities.
Yeah.
Long story short, ended up getting two separate DUIs in my
Oh,
early
wow.
20s,
Okay.
almost back to back. So yeah, that mixed with a lot of other things. Growing up on the North Shore of Tahoe, there's quite a bit of casinos,
Sure, yeah.
a lot of debauchery that comes with all that. So I ended up having this experience up in the mountains one day, and just ended up running for hours. And something about that day, like things just kind of clicked for me. And I just remembered all the good times and all the things that I loved about growing up there running in the
Yeah.
mountains. And kind of just had an epiphany and really decided that, you know, the things that I was doing, I didn't want to do any longer.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I am pretty okay with changing this right now and pursuing this because this feels great. And I love this and it's good for me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, fast forward, maybe a month or so, ended up doing a race that I had done through high school and through college many times. And I ran that race and I ran the slowest time I've ever ran. And I'm pretty sure my, 16, 17-year-old self would have beat me by like 3 or 4 minutes. So I was like, all right. I was like, I really need to clean this up a little bit. Like I should, I want to do well. Like I want to compete. I love this.
Right.
Like we're gonna change some things around. So yeah, that was, like I said, I have to go double check. I'm pretty sure that was summer of 2017, maybe
Okay.
2018. Um, but yeah, and after that, kind of just I remember signing up for uh oh, I did a couple local races, and I remember signing up for Way Too Cool.
Oh,
And
okay, way
I
too
was
cool.
out
Nice.
backcountry skiing with a couple friends, and I got the email that I was in Way Too Cool, and I was so excited and stoked. I was like this is gonna be awesome. Like I'm gonna have a really kick-ass winter. Like I'm gonna train hard for
Yeah.
this. And I did just that. So I did a lot of backcountry skiing to train for it, a lot of running, and then Way Too Cool came around, and that was my second 50K. So I tried to race 150K in 2018, and it was a very, very humbling experience. I
Okay.
ran terribly. I went out super hard. I was trying to race man, what's his name? Stephen Kirsch.
Oh,
So
wow.
who's a
Yeah,
fantastic
he's a
athlete.
beast.
He's a beast. So I
Yeah.
tried to go out and I tried to race him. And uh yeah, needless to say, the legs cramped up. I was on the side of the trail, seizing,
Oh, man.
walked it in. And that was
Do you
a,
ha do you happen to remember that time? I'm curious, like, I know you said it was horrible, but, like, it
oh
probably
man,
still was it?
I guarantee I could figure this out real quick. The Tamalpa Headlands 50K,
Oh, the
2018.
Headlands 50K, okay.
The Headlands 50K. Here we go. Results. Man, it wasn't I mean, for a competitive athlete and for somebody
Sure,
who, expects a lot out of themselves, it wasn't good.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
Stephen
probably
Kirsch
expecting
won
okay.
naturally in 4 hours and 4 minutes.
Oh,
And
wow.
I got 16th in 5 hours and 22 minutes.
Okay, alright, yeah.
So, which isn't, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad
No, it's
time, but
still a decent time and it's respectable, but like you said, for, somebody who's trying to be a professional athlete and compete at the highest levels, I can see how, you'd be a
a
little
little
disappointed in that.
demoralizing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that happened. That really kind of made me, a very humbling experience, like I said, and made me realize like I need to actually, like, if I want to do this and do this thing well, I really need to, tighten things up and start training hard.
Right.
So I hired a coach, Peter Fain,
Okay.
long time total badass in the Sierras, still a really good friend of mine. Saw him 2 days ago.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, so he helped me out. We prepped for Way Too Cool, and Way Too Cool went way better. Um, and that was kind of the start of everything, really. I mean, I think I got top 10 there. I may have not. It was still another like cramping up experience, but didn't happen to like mile 28 this time, 27 this time. So I was like, all
Yeah.
right, cool. Like we're on the right track. We're getting better here.
Right. Now
Um,
was that in 2000 would that have been, like, 2019 probably?
that would have been 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
so yeah, went from there into doing raced Broken Arrow that year. And then that was the year I raced the first half of Broken Arrow with Hayden, and
Oh, cool.
kept up with Hayden for most of it. And then that second lap, which Broken Arrow is known for, yeah, he dropped me hard. But I still held on, was able to get second place that year. And then
Nice.
that was kind of, I don't know, I think that was kind of the start of, the good part of the professional. I mean, I wasn't professional at that point, but that was, the those introductory steps. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, it looks like in
2019.
2019, you had some pretty good successes too. I see you had first overall at the Silver State 50K with a 3:55, which is just outstanding. You had another strong race, first overall, another first overall. Like it looks like you had some pretty good success in 2019.
I 20 yeah, that was, I mean, that's definitely the year that I was able to yeah, finally get it together a little bit and start learning,
Right.
like ultra running, 50Ks, all of that is just such a learning process. Like
Yes.
it really takes some time to figure it out. Like I'm still figuring it out, like
Right.
there's still things you have to learn every single year, but 2019 was a special year for sure.
So you also ran the Pikes Peak Marathon, which is right in my backyard. I'm in Colorado Springs, and so that's I mean, I've trained on that trail a lot, and I see in 2019 you did the marathon in a 3:48, which is just that's mind blowing to me because I've not done the actual race, but I've done a marathon route going up and down and ultra to marathon distance doing that, and just knowing your time, like that's insane, man. Like hats off to you. that's
Oh,
that's
thanks,
very
man.
impressive. Yeah, very
That
impressive.
was I think my favorite race from that year was hands down Speed Goat. I was
Oh,
able
really? The
to,
50K?
yeah,
Nice.
the 50K at Speed Goat that year. That was a super special one because I think that's
Yeah.
when, between that and Broken Arrow, that's kind of when I realized I was like, I love this like mountain running thing. Like
Yeah,
these mountainous 50Ks are pretty cool.
definitely. It looks
Yeah,
like you did pretty well. You got first there. That's awesome. Yeah,
it's a good one.
definitely.
Um,
Well, then, so like at this point, you weren't a sponsored athlete. You weren't a professional, in air quotes at this time. What, did that kind of come about in 2020 or what led through, getting signed and that process?
so I was after it was I think it was after Way Too Cool that year actually. I was talking to my current athlete manager, Esther Kendall.
Okay.
She worked with Solomon at the time, and I was chatting with her a little bit back and forth, and she sent me some shoes and like some other things, and like just a little bit to kind of pique my interest a little bit, but it wasn't in any sense a professional contract.
Hmm.
Just some shoes.
Yeah.
But she had left Solomon, and that was her first year with the North Face, was summer of 2019.
Okay.
And we were actually chatting then about me joining the North Face in 2020. So we had those conversations, and then after Pikes Peak, um, she reached out and we chatted on the phone, and she's like, hey, if you want a spot on the team in 2020, I have a spot for you, we'd love to have you. I'll send you details closer to the end of the year and towards contract season. And
Right.
that was kind of the start of that. Is my first contract as a professional athlete was 2020 with the North Face.
I mean, what did that feel like for you, putting in years of hard work and training and getting good results, but then to have that validation from a brand like the North Face, this massive brand in the industry that, recognized your talent and wanted you to join their team and I mean, that had to have been a pretty surreal moment.
It was surreal, but also honestly, I felt a bit undeserving, to be quite frank.
Okay.
Like a little bit undeserving, just because I don't know. I I had this idea in my head that I wasn't, you know, I was not the perfect pictation of a professional athlete. Um, I don't know. Like, I had quite a bit of, like I said, I have a, history with drinking, with drugs, with
Sure.
gambling, with
Yeah.
all these different things that really, like, there were so many deserving people that weren't doing that crap and that were, spending way more time and hours and whatnot than I was, and actually, working harder for it. And like, I'm not saying I wasn't working hard, because, 2018, 2019, I did work my ass off. Like, I really
Right.
wanted it. I worked hard, but to be associated with a company like the North Face, I was like, oh, that might be a little too much, Like, I don't know, I don't know if that might be a little too high of a goal to reach. So I
Wow.
don't know, but so I mean, at first, I don't know, like, to be quite frank with you, man, like, I did not, even the first couple of years with them, like, I almost felt like when you're on this team that people like, Alex Honnold, Kit Delorier, Jimmy Chin, Brett
Yeah.
Harrington, like all these amazing athletes, and they're like, they're the best of the best. They're the
Right.
best of the best. These are just absolutely kick-ass humans, kick-ass mountain athletes.
Right.
So I did not feel like I belonged, man. I did at first. It's
Yeah,
changed
sure.
over the years, I think if anything, being associated with the North Face in that team kind of it really did actually help me figure out, who I was and what I wanted and what I'm
Right.
actually capable of. So it was definitely I don't know, the foot in the door in 2020, but now it
Yeah.
feels like, doors open, we're inside.
It was like almost the, North Face saw this talent in you and was validating the hard work you were doing, but maybe you didn't quite like, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but maybe you didn't believe that yourself. You said that you didn't feel like they were too big
One
for you, but they saw that in you, and that, maybe helped bring that confidence out in you a little bit more to really, be your best self.
100%. And I have Esther to 100% thank for that. I mean, yeah, she's friends with a lot of my close friends, and
Mhm.
luckily, I think Chris Cloyd, Peter Fain, Adam Kimball, like all those guys, spoke with her and vouched for me, and I think that they all saw something that I didn't,
That's
and
awesome.
I have a lot. I have to thank all those guys and Esther for that
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and so that was 2020 is when you joined the North Face, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how, obviously you're like you said, your first year or two, you kind of felt the same that you were maybe a little undeserving, but I mean, you had some good results in races in those years. I mean, you had some very good results. So clearly, it was not misspent talent. You were putting in the work and you were getting the results.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, but it's still, I mean,
Yeah.
it's still, I don't know, and I don't know if this definitely comes from my dad and the way we were raised, but I expect and I try to be the best I can be and be at the top. I mean, so having that mentality of always wanting to do better, be better. I'm not going to
Yeah.
sign up for a race if I don't think I can win it.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
Well, you
yeah,
definitely
we're
got some
we're working
victories.
our way, dude. We're working our way.
Yeah. You definitely got quite a few victories over the years. I mean, it looks like you won at Broken Arrow at least once, if not a couple of times, there as well over the years. You had a 4th place overall at Pikes Peak Marathon, which is incredibly impressive. That was in 22 as well, so that would have been I think that was the year. Did Seth James Moore win that year, I believe, in 22?
It's
I can't
22.
remember.
That was the
It was
year
2 years ago.
Anthony won.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yep. Yeah, that
Or no,
was
no,
a
Jonathan Aziz won 2022. Um,
Jonathan. Okay.
I think Jonathan Aziz won, and Noah Williams was second. Cam Smith was third,
Yeah,
and then
and then
I
you
got
got the
fourth.
4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a strong showing for sure. And then, like, outside of all of these races you're doing, I mean, during this time as well, you're kicking some butt on fastest known time, the website. You've got quite a few FKTs to your name that you are also putting in a lot of work. I mean, one that sticks out to me in your history, just looking at it, is the Haleakala. I mean, that's a heck of a route that you did in 3 hours and 52 minutes for that. I mean, that had to feel good.
Dude, that was a wild. That's hands down probably one of the most wild runs I've ever done.
Really?
Going from the ocean up to over 10,000 feet and
Right.
having that massive change in ecosystem from start to finish was just like absolutely insane. Like it
I
just
couldn't
felt
even
like you're
imagine.
running through different worlds.
Right.
Like that's a cool route.
Yeah.
I think everybody, if you're ever on Maui, like you have to do that route. Have to.
Now the route that you did as well, so you did the full ascent and then the descent as well, right? The, like, almost 19 miles?
I did not do the descent. No,
Okay, so you did
I
the
just did the
ascent.
ascent. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay, but yeah, that's still that's still 10,000 feet a gate, which is just like you said, that's mind blowing to think you're going from the ocean to above 10,000 feet with that kind of. And now the route you did as
totally.
well, that is all paved, right? Or did you do the trail?
That one's pretty much all trail. There's
All
a
trail.
little bit
Okay.
of paved section in the beginning, maybe the first mile, and then the
Okay.
rest of it is all trail.
Nice. Okay. And that looks like I'm trying to look at what the current time is. Do you still have that FKT?
I
You
haven't
do,
got any
yes.
notifications on Strava yet, so
You
I think
sure
so.
do, you still have it, that's right, nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, you've got the Teton Circumnavigation, the Table Mountain, Teton Crest Trail, Mount Talek. I don't even know where that is. I've never heard of that one. It looks like is that California?
That was yeah, that was one of the ones that kinda started the whole, like, FKT Strava thing for me, actually. It was,
Wow.
Jim had it on Strava,
Jim
and
Walmsley.
Jim Walmsley,
And
and
you wow.
I was like, "I can't let this guy have a Strava record in my backyard." So,
Right.
it's in, South Lake Tahoe,
Okay.
absolutely gorgeous mountain. It's an awesome ski as well, but yeah, I was able to I spent a little bit more time than I probably should have trying to take that one because it's not a known one. Like it's not a very
Okay.
popular FKT route. But Jim Walmsley had the ascent on it and had the round trip, and I was like, oh, I have to take this from Jim. So
Yeah.
I spent some time, routing that out and training for that one. And he probably just got it on an easy run, to be honest. But
No, you gotta give yourself some credit. That's a stout
uh,
time. It was yeah, that's impressive. Uh, of of the FKT well, I mean, I guess we can go ahead and jump into it. So, I know on was it September 2nd, you just set the FKT on, is it called the Grand Teton? Is that what it's called?
yes, sir.
The Grand Teton. Okay, so tell us about that one first. Tell us about, the elevation, the distance, and just give us that story.
Sure. So it's about 13 and a half miles,
Okay.
7,000 feet of climbing.
Oh, wow.
It requires a bit of climbing. It does turn into about a 5.4 rated route. You
Oh,
can make
wow.
it as hard as 5.6 if you want. Um, for a fast attempt, I'd kept to the 5.4 route.
And so wait, hold on.
It's
Let me interrupt you real quick. So for those out there that may not understand what a 5-4 means, like, are you using ropes or is this just, basically 4 points of contact and you're climbing a wall?
So it's, turns from fifth class scrambling to climbing, right? So
Oh,
5.4
wow.
is about that area where it turns into, 4 points of contact, you're climbing. A lot of that on this route has to do with the exposure of it all.
Okay.
There's multiple very exposed parts. To anyone who wants to go look up the route, check out the Owen Spalding route on the Grand
Okay.
Teton. It's the 5.4 rated climb. It has multiple spots where there's over 2,000 feet of exposure.
Oh my
If
gosh.
you yeah, if you slip on the belly roll or going into the double chimney there, like you're gonna die.
Oh my
Um,
lord.
yeah, there's
Ugh.
yeah, you can't. That's a no fall zone, man.
Yeah,
There's
no.
so between
Oh,
that and then the catwalk is part of that route where
what's the catwalk?
it can be icy.
Oh,
So you go the route itself, the Owen Spalding route. You go through through the belly roll. You go around this like hand crimpy little edge, and you just have your hands in there. Like there's a little bit of feet in there as well. Then you come up around into this double chimney, and then this double chimney. There's a couple different spots you can take to climb up either side, and then through that double chimney, you swing a right, and then climb up this big horn onto this catwalk. Right, so it's kind of you can take the 5.6 route up Owens Chimney, which is more of a climb. And at the
right.
time when I did it, it was very icy in there. It's all north facing, so it holds
Oh,
snow and ice
wow.
for a very long time. The catwalk is this, I don't know if you can see this, maybe yeah, a little bit longer than that, but five,
So
six
maybe
feet or so
okay, 5, 6 feet.
of granite that slopes down. And at the end of this slope, it just falls off the
Oh
mountain,
gosh.
and it tends to get, I mean, because of the way that that mountain holds snow and holds water and ice. There's usually water trickling down over the catwalk, and
Oh,
if it freezes and there's any black ice on there and you're trying to run across there, you could slip and easily go
oh, yeah.
tumbling along.
Oh.
So yeah, it's
I could imagine trying to do something like that at all, but let alone fast, like, for a record. That's just
it
wow.
was, yeah. Luck. I mean, when we did it, because of the nature of FKTs like this one, you have to have friends. Like you have to have friends
Yeah.
up there helping you out. My good buddy Sam Schwartz was hanging out at the belly roll to make sure there's no parties in there. Connor
Oh,
Burksmith, a good friend of mine, he was up on the catwalk. scoping it out beforehand. He woke up at 3:30 in the morning to get up there,
Oh, wow.
and
So he's
was
checking for ice.
yes. So he's checking
Okay.
for ice, and by the time I got up there, we our plan was for him to scream like ice or no ice, and luckily when I got up there, there was ice, um, but luckily there was no black ice that I couldn't see on the
Okay.
catwalk. Um, but yeah, so it's I guess start to finish the route is about 4 miles of single track up to the Garnet boulders, and then there's a little boulder field for a quarter mile. Um, that brings you over to the Garnet Meadows, which is where you can split, either go up the middle and South Teton, or you can go up the other trail up to the Grand Teton. From that section, it becomes very, there is a trail per se, but there's so many little goat paths, and you
Oh,
know,
wow.
I've done this route 44 times now, and
Oh, wow.
I've never taken the same trail twice.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
it's
Wow.
impossible. Like it's so
Yeah,
hard to actually. There's so much going on and so many spider webs of things that it's like, yeah, you can't
that's
really.
crazy.
Yeah. But from there, it's about 2,600 feet to get to the meadows, another 2,300 feet up to the lower saddle. And the lower saddle is that saddle in between the Grand and the middle.
Okay.
So you hit that at about 5,000 feet of climbing, and what is it, 5.7 miles, maybe? Um, and then from there, you climb another 2,000 feet on the lower saddle to the upper saddle, and then the Owen Spalding route up to the top.
Good
So a
grief.
lot of that upper saddle is, hands on rocks, like you're moving up on your, all fours,
Yeah,
like there's some parts where you can run or, mostly hike, to be honest, just a power hike up that.
sure.
But it's a lot of climbing. For reference, I think most parties it's about a 2-day trip. So most
Oh
parties
my
will
goodness.
most most
Wow.
parties will backpack in, get to the lower saddle on day one, wake up early, go climb the mountain the next day, and then either spend another night on the lower saddle and hike up the next day, or get from the top back down. Um, so it's a pretty heady route. I mean,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I mean, I would
Is
I
it
would
13
argue
and a half
it's
miles round trip, or is that just the ascent?
that's round trip.
Round trip. Okay. Oh, so
Yeah,
okay, so you did went up and down. Okay.
correct.
Gosh. That that's even more impressive because, like, for me, I've not really explored many 14ers out here yet. Like, I've only done Pikes Peak and some of I can't remember the other one I just did. I can whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway,
There's a lot of
um,
them.
what gets me is, like, the climbing up. Yes, it's difficult, but it's way easier for me personally than down climbing, and to, like, you having to down climb quickly, because you said a very stout time, which we'll get to, but to go up and then down climb that quickly, that's even more impressive.
I have been looking forward to this downhill for years. I have been looking forward to it for years. I did not want to practice the downhill,
Really?
um, just because it's the kind of I'm a week out from the FKT. My quads still hurt. Like
Oh, wow.
I'm still feeling it because
So you were
it's
hammering it.
hammering it, but it's also pretty stupid. Like it's pretty
Okay.
reckless. It's the kind of terrain that you shouldn't really want to move that fast that often. Like I
Oh
really don't.
gosh, yeah.
I don't want to do that just because the injury risk of it is too high.
Sure.
Um, so you really have to be confident, and you have to have your body be totally ready for it. Um, I wish we could use drones in national parks, because God, I wish I could have
That
had
would've
that
been
on
amazing.
camera, because
Yes. Oh, man.
it was so much fun, man. Like
How
like I
fast
said,
were you
I've
going
been
down, do you think? Like, what was your pace going down some of those sections?
I'd say so. For reference, I mean, pace wise, it's hard to say because I
Okay.
could I could look it up on Strava. It's easier to use comparisons.
Okay.
But from the summit to the lower saddle, it's 2,000 feet down over 1 mile or so, or
Oh
less than
my
1 mile.
god.
So it's just straight down, but on like
Yeah.
loose rock, loose sand. a lot of it's you're just like jumping down rocks. Usually you'd want to take your time and like go down a little bit, but
Right,
I got
yeah.
to one part of it called Sergeant Sneak. And like usually, there's this foothold on the left that you just, put that left foot in, down climb, right foothold on the right, scooch down a couple more feet, put your foot there, and then just, kind of shimmy, shimmy, shimmy down. And this section, I literally just jumped off of it. Like I just jumped off of it. I was like,
Oh,
jump,
man.
boom, land on that, and then just keep going.
Oh,
So
my.
it was pretty reckless to run down that. I think so.
Uh,
Like I said, for comparison's sake,
yeah.
um, I got from the top to the bottom in 14 and a half minutes, and I
Oh, my
think
lord.
Andy's previous FKT, he did it in 20 minutes, and I
Wow.
think Jack Kinzel did it in 17 and a half or 18 minutes. So it was pretty silly.
Yeah. I can see why you wouldn't wanna practice that because yeah, there's a definite risk of, serious injury.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, the so just the last record, if I'm reading this right, was set in 2012 by none other than Kilian Jornet himself, and it was beat 10 days later by Andy Anderson, which I think I read correctly, he was like a park ranger, up there, which
Correct.
is
Yeah.
just that's awesome.
He's a
And
Jenny
then
Lake Ranger up there.
yeah, that's so cool, and he beat Killian's time by, less than a minute, like 59 seconds, and
Yep.
now 12 years later, you bust out a 2-hour, 50-minute, and 50-second time, which is just jaw-dropping. That's amazing. How much quicker was that from Andy's? Because I did not see Andy's, time yet.
Andy was at 2 hours 53 minutes and 2 seconds. So
So
I took
almost 3 minutes.
yeah 2 minutes and 12 seconds off Andy's.
2 min wow. That's impressive, man. Oh my goodness.
And
And
I'm gonna do it again next summer, and I think there's
really?
a couple more 2 to 3 more minutes on there. Oh yeah,
Really?
there's some meat on the bone. Oh yeah.
Is that on the uphill or the downhill?
I think the uphill.
The uphill,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That and so I know you went into this with, like, minimal gear. You probably didn't have I mean, you're talking about climbing some of these sections. I'm assuming it was just there's no ropes involved, no harnesses. You're just climbing quickly with your experience and skill, basically.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
no ropes. The only thing I had was shoes, North Face Summit Sky,
Okay.
super awesome lightweight race shoe. Um,
Is that a
so I use
plated shoe?
those. Yes,
It is. Okay. Wow.
yeah, it's nice. I prefer that. It's for this kind of activity. I like something that's a little bit lower profile.
Okay.
So that's one of the most low profile shoes that the North Face makes, and it's fast. It just feels fast, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
How did it do on the section? Because I know you said there was that one section, the catwalk, which had some ice, not black ice, but ice that you could see. How did they do on that? Or did you have any kind of like crampons or micro spikes or anything?
It was so I would say there was ice, but it's spotted, you know? It's like there's
Okay.
parts that are absolutely bone dry, and then there's patches, right? So it's
So you could
really
like
just
pick
kind
your
of just
route.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So they
Nice.
do totally fine on that.
That's awesome. And so, I mean, did you even take any kind of like hydration with you or anything? Or was this just a quick sprint through the woods?
So I did do that shorts, belt, um, and then in my belt I brought 600 calories. I brought 400 calories within a 500 ml flask.
Okay.
And then 200 calories in gels, but I didn't end up using the gels. So I really just did the 500 mil with the 400 calories. And then, there's one spot when you hit Petzold's Caves about an hour or so into the first climb that you can refill on some spring water. So I just,
Oh, okay.
quickly got some spring water there and then just kept going. And
Nice.
that was about it. So about a liter of water and 400 calories for the attempt.
Wow.
And then, of course, a backwards hat and my Smith sunglasses.
Yeah,
Because
oh, yeah, you gotta have some
you
Smith
gotta do it in
sunglasses.
style, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was in the Army, my drill sergeant always said that, part of it was looking sexy. As long as you look sexy, you'll be fine. So, I mean
Dude, look good, feel good, run good.
exactly, exactly. Well, so if you think there's still 2 or 3 minutes up there, I mean, obviously, we don't wanna give away a lot of, beta to some other people maybe that might be going out trying to beat your time, but, you think it's on the uphill section, is it just like a different line than you took, or maybe you just feel like you went a little slower than you could have?
All of the above. I
Okay.
think there's yeah. The thing about that route in general is there's no one route. You know,
Right.
there's no singular line that you have to do or that, you know, it's not straightforward. You
Yeah.
know, there it's very colluded. There's a lot of different things you can do and take. Like I said, I don't think I've ever gone the same route twice,
Yeah.
because there's such a difference in that. And I do think there's a couple spots where, you know, you could, based off your skill level and based off what you're good at, whether it's climbing, running, hiking, whatever, you can pick different lines to accommodate your skill.
Sure.
And I do think, yeah, between those two things, route choice as well as just moving faster through that kind of terrain, those would be the two reasons as to why I think there's another, you know,
Okay.
I think because Andy hit his uphill split 4 minutes faster than I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you made up a heck of a lot of time on the downhill then.
I made up time on the downhill. Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah, because that's 4 minutes faster than wow, he had to been a very, very strong climber, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness. Yeah. So, have you always been a climber then as well, just growing up in, the Tahoe area, or did you get into the climbing later? Because I mean, obviously, you're not gonna go into an FKT like this without having quite a bit of confidence in your abilities to climb.
So I wouldn't, you know, like I said, being on the North Face and knowing actual climbers, I would never call myself a climber. I would say I'm a hobbyist.
Okay.
But I mean, as you know, as kids growing up, my mom would actually drop me and my brother Frank off at the climbing gym. So when we were
Oh,
growing
cool.
up, we would go play around in the climbing gym in Truckee and mess
Nice.
around with that. So I mean, from a young age, we did do it a little bit. I've never taken it, you know, to that next level. Um, I'd say I really enjoy the scrambling and soloing aspect of climbing.
Okay.
I do, you know, I do have ropes. I use ropes. I like to get after it and do those kind of things too. But I'd say my favorite style of movement in the mountains is doing it lightweight and fast. Um, so just spending a lot of time scrambling over ridge lines and, you
Yeah.
know, trying to go without gear, trying to carry as little as possible and move as fast as possible.
Well, I don't know. Has there been a time then since you like to move, as fast as possible, carrying as little as possible? Has there been I'm sure over the years there had to have been a couple of close calls. Like what's your worst experience in the mountains?
Oh man, the scariest. So I'd say
Yeah.
there's probably two or three, but I'd say the scariest one was actually I think it was my first summer in the Tetons. Went backpacking up to Sunset Lake, and that's just right outside Alaska Basin on the other side of Grand Middle South. So camped up there, set up camp, and I wanted to go for a run the next day, and I wanted to go tag Buck
Okay.
Mountain. And I looked online to try to find some beta to see if anybody had done it from the Northwest aspect, and I couldn't find any. So I was like, oh well, I guess I better go figure it out.
Oh gosh.
So a lot of there's some peaks and there's some ridge lines in the Tetons where the rock is pretty weak. You know,
Oh wow.
like the Grand Traverse is so well traveled that, you know, all that weak crap has already fallen off and broken off and people have kicked it
Right.
away. Buck Mountain was not like that at all. I got to this. I got most of the way up. I never summited that day, but there's this two like spires, right? So you have Buck Mountain, and sorry, I think I have a dog hitting my door right here. We
That's
got
fine.
Buck Mountain, and there's this spire, and going up this spire, you kind of have to scooch around to the left, and it's about, you know, it's exposed over, you know, 1,500, 2,000 feet. Here, let
Oh
me
my
let this
lord.
dog in real quick.
Okay.
So it's very exposed, and come on in, buddy. Um, so this spire, I kind of like went over and was kind of climbing up it, like super exposed. And there's a part where you have to like reach up and pull yourself up onto this next ledge to get back over and then get up to the top and get over to the actual peak.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this rock is very, very brittle. So I get over onto this thing, put my left hand up, start pulling up on it. And I was like, okay, cool. 50% weight, we're good. It's like a little bit more, like, okay, 2/3 of the weight. Awesome. So, like, I'm up against this thing. And then finally, reach for my move to go up and pull myself up. And the entire rock just falls off behind me.
Oh
It's
my
like, "Whoop,"
god.
and just like suck myself into the rock. And
Oh, man.
yeah, and then that was terrifying, because, being exposed over that high and that big
Yeah.
old mountain was like, I turned around. I was like, "Okay," like,
Yeah.
"Okay,
Had to go change your shorts.
catch your breath. Okay, we're gonna down climb this really slow, and I'm done today. Like, I am absolutely
Oh,
done because
man.
it's being exposed over that, that high is just it's a scary feeling, man, and, like, I gotta
Mm.
give those guys so much credit and so much props, like, some of those guys who would do that, and then that would happen, and they'd be like, "Okay, cool, like, now the rock's gone, let's keep going," and then just do it
Oh
again and
gosh,
go,
no.
but that day, not for me, man, not for me.
Oh, I cannot even imagine. That's just yeah, I would probably climb down and then just like, "Nope, I'm done. Not gonna go climb again. We're good."
Like, "Alright, yep, we're getting into a different sport."
Yep, exactly. I'm gonna take up kayaking. It's like
But at the honestly, I do believe that, putting having been in some situations like that, I do think I don't wanna say makes you numb to those experiences, but it does kind of put you in this place of, like, I don't know, I guess overall acceptance, but also, you know, you can get through those things and be fine, but you just have to, I don't
Yeah,
know, just keep practicing it, and
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know, like
that's what I wonder, like, I mean, your, fellow North Face athlete, Alex Honnold, when he climbs and just the way I've seen documentaries on him, you watch him climb, and he just looks so just like, whatever, just like so at peace and chill. And
yeah,
I know he's like so methodical in his head, but just he looks so relaxed and like, yeah, I might be 2,000 feet up and I could fall and die, but I'm gonna get this hold, and I'm gonna trust that rock. It's just that mindset is otherworldly, and just
oh, totally,
yeah, I blows my mind.
yeah. I think there's something about, putting yourself in those situations and then continuously doing that, and then I think that fear level comes down,
Yeah,
that fear and that level comes down. The consequence stays high, but
of course.
your ability to perceive that consequence, I guess maybe, or your ability to have more risk tolerance increases.
Right. Yeah, and do you think that, I mean, as your risk tolerance increases, and like you said, that risk itself stays the same, it's not gonna, that fear, the consequence is still there. I mean,
Yeah,
do you think that's, I guess if you're trying to be like a professional climber, like that's probably I don't know if I'd say healthy, but a helpful mindset to have. But do you think for, someone like you that's going out setting these FKTs, professional runner, all this stuff, is that a healthy mindset for these types of things?
I mean, I'm not gonna tell anybody they should go try to run up and down things that
Right.
are, possibly could kill them.
Yeah.
For me, I enjoy it, and I'd
Yeah.
find a thrill and,
Definitely.
I guess adrenaline junkie for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm definitely not going to tell anybody to go do
Yeah, some people
it.
it's skydiving, other people it could be racing cars, whatever you do to get that adrenaline flowing, yeah, just that's awesome. So, what well, what is next for you? I mean, you just set this awesome FKT. Do you have any big races coming up this year or an FKT you're eyeing, or, what's on the future for you?
Oh, dude, so many cool things I'd like to do. The
Oh,
problem is
nice.
finding all the time.
Right.
Uh, most currently, I'll be heading out to the Rut actually. So I'm in Tahoe right now, visiting some friends and family. So I'll be heading out today, driving back out up towards Big Sky.
Okay.
The Rut's going on this next weekend, so hopefully my legs heal in time. I'm gonna go go try
Yeah,
to
you said they still
tackle.
felt a little tired, so
Oh man, I actually went for a run with Andy Anderson this morning.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so he's been super. I like we've become closer over the last 2 3 years. What he's known that I've wanted to go for this record.
Yeah.
So he's been extremely supportive, and yeah, we went for a run this morning, and I was hurting. But anyways, yeah, the Rut next weekend, gonna do the VK 50K double out
Oh,
there.
wow.
Hopefully, stay
Yeah.
tuned. We'll find out. I don't even know yet. But then after that, I'm actually going to take some time to switch things up a little bit and go out to
Okay.
Cape Town and do Ultra Trail Cape Town and
Oh,
try my hand
wow.
at 100K.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so I'm pretty excited about that. Kind of like try something new and fun that I've wanted to do for a long time.
Wait,
And it'll be good.
you've never done 100K?
I have never done 100K. No,
Oh, I thought so the way too cool that you did was at the 50K.
50K. Yeah,
Ah, so this will be your
I've
first.
been.
Wow.
This will be the first. I'm excited, man. It's
Oh, that's awesome.
totally different mindset and totally different,
Right.
different sport really than what I've been trying to practice with the mountain running. So I'm excited to give that a shot. And then after that, I'll actually be back to bartending for
Okay.
about, December, about 5 months or so. So I'll be back at the bar up in Driggs, slinging some PBRs and some shots of whiskey for the locals and chilling up at the
Yeah,
bar and
there you
backcountry
go.
skiing and, taking
Nice.
some time away from running. But after that, I actually, yeah, there's a few things on my mind. I have to do the Grand Teton again.
Yeah.
Um, there's a little bit of controversy actually over my
Really?
FKT right now.
Really?
Yep.
Can you
Oh
talk about it?
yeah. Yeah, let's talk about it. I
Okay,
think
what is it?
it might be a little bit of a topic over the next week, so we'll see.
Okay.
Um, there's actually so when Killian got his FKT in 2012, there's this section that's called the switchbacks because it
Okay.
switches back and forth. There's also a ranger trail that goes up kind of around that's a lot steeper. So
Okay.
it's a maintained trail. The rangers use it for rescues. They use it for transporting, gear, shovels, whatever. Um, so that is actually every single person on the FKT website has used that route
Oh.
except for Andy.
Oh, so
So
even you use
so
the Ranger Trail or no?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the preferred route amongst Killian Jornet, Emily Forsberg, Jende Denton, Anton Krupicka.
Yeah.
So that's the route that pretty much everybody takes. But I guess supposedly some people reached out to FKT and are saying that I took a closed route, even though on their own website they have FKTs posted where people have used that route.
Yeah.
So, so I'm chatting with them right now. I sent them all sorts of information about it. It's a route that's posted on, uh, you can see it on Fat Maps, on Strava, on Onyx, on Caltopo,
Okay.
on all these things.
So it's a
But I
very
don't know.
defined route.
It's a defined route. It's a ranger trail that is, I
Okay.
mean, it's not blocked off in any way. Like it's
Yeah.
maintained, So there's a little bit of controversy swirling around that right now. So we'll see what happens. But
Huh.
I talked to Andy Anderson about it, um, and in his eyes, he does not care at all.
Yeah.
He did not use that route because he thought the switchbacks were faster, so he took the switchbacks. And yeah, I talked to him about it. He's like, no. He said, I know that you ran faster than I did. So in return, I should have brought it and showed you, but there's a cool belt buckle and this little cool Grand Teton box
Oh, cool.
that Ricky Gates and his partner made. So they have like belt
Nice.
buckles for some of the biggest routes in the U.S. And the Grand Teton is one of them. So Andy's like, I don't care what those people said. Like, I don't care what the FKT website says. I'm
Right.
taking a Sharpie and writing your name and your time in this box and giving it to you.
Oh, wow.
So, so that honestly, in my mind, that's all that actually matters.
Yeah.
So if they want to make a big stink about that, I think they'd be well advised to actually do some research on the route, and figure
Yeah.
that out first before posting things on their website. But yeah, as
Oh,
of
so
now, they told me that they're going to decline it. But they
what?
don't. I know, so I'm fighting it. I think they're making a really bad decision. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, now
but
no,
sorry,
go
go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead. No, you
No,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say so. Regardless, I'm gonna go back next year. I'm gonna do it
Okay.
again, and I'm gonna do it on the switchbacks and do it in a faster time, anyways. So,
Yeah.
so it's all good. I don't really mind.
Well, you said Andy did it on the switchbacks, and you said he was 4 minutes faster than you on the ascent. So, I mean, shoot, combined with the other areas, you think you could make up time and maybe you'll pick up 6, 7 minutes, you know? I mean
No, I mean, like I said, there's still meat on the bone regardless of that
Yeah,
small variation on that trail. And like, and the thing about it too is it's funny that that would be something that's brought up because it's a lot of that actual trail. Like it's not an established route. Like I said, there's so many
yeah,
different twists and turns, and
yeah, you can
there's
go however,
you
right.
can go however. And I mean, it's silly to take the concept of who can get up and down the fastest and try to create rules around it. Um, I don't know. I guess I subscribe to the European style of thought,
Yeah.
as opposed to the closed off national park system of thought.
So this section of trail, this ranger trail, how long was this section they're talking about here?
So it does shave off. I want to say like point 3 miles or so.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's steeper. It's a little bit more convoluted. You have to like hop. Like just really short turns and rocks, and like it's not a it's not as defined, and
Okay.
it's not California carpet.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
okay.
it's like
So
the
it's not some buffed out, like, easy to see trail. It's still you're navigating, you're climbing up steep pitches or whatever, and yeah,
yeah.
it's not okay.
And the thing, like, there's not as many. The One of the biggest choices that led into that decision to take that was, I unfortunately, my weather window and the weather window of
Oh,
the
yeah.
mountains itself made it so that the only day I could really do this was on Labor Day.
Oh gosh.
So imagine running down a trail on Labor Day in one of the busiest parks in North America.
Oh my
It's
lord.
There's
Yeah.
so many dang people, man. Like it was
That
just, oh yeah. So
adds a whole 'nother
that
level of difficulty. Yeah.
yeah. So I that's another one of those things where, I think like, yeah, there's more meat on the bone. If I could
Yeah.
schedule that again on a day where there's not,
Like
that
a
many
Wednesday
climbers and
morning.
hikers. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's even more time to not be, bustling around people and screaming trail,
Right.
150 times.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because inevitably there's always at least one that has their headphones in, they don't hear you and they don't move, so you come up behind 'em, you gotta tap them on the shoulder and, like, it always happens.
It happened yeah, it definitely happened multiple times that day.
Yes, yeah, I've been bombing down bar trail before, like, after doing the incline, it's bombing down bar, and, like, I've got micro spikes on because there's ice, but, you still gotta be a little careful and coming like, "Runner behind you, behind you, behind you," like,
Yep.
they don't hear it all, they're like, "Oh, it's frustrating," but yeah.
Trail, trail.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. I'll be curious then to see, I'll have to tune into the FKT website. You said they posted did they actually post something on the website about it?
No, there's never been anything posted about any specific route. But I was told in an email that they're going to go back and revamp it. And I
Hmm.
don't think that's fair. I mean, it's hard to move the goalposts after the fact.
I mean, 'cause
And
you
I
said
think,
Killian did the same route, Emil did this route, Anton,
yep,
all these
yep.
people.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
So now,
ridiculous.
and they have that all posted.
You're right.
But so now there's, I mean, yeah, it's silly. And I think, if they're gonna discredit me for something like that, then there's a lot of FKTs on that website that are off
Right.
trail or are in national parks that are off designated trails that people
Yeah,
use, or on ridge lines. So I mean, yeah, it's a really touchy subject, and I'm gonna have to talk to somebody over there because
right.
I've already started compiling a list of all the FKTs that they have on their website
Yeah,
that would go against what they have told me, and they're gonna
right.
have to really screw over a lot of people. So
At
we'll
the
see what
very least,
happens.
at the very least, you think they would just maybe just call your route alternate or whatever, like
Sure.
another still, approve it, give it the validation and, because it's an amazing time, but just call it an alternate route, little
Yeah.
asterisks by it, I mean, at
And
the
I mean,
very least.
I don't even care if that happens. Like if they want to do that,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, because I think, like I said, there's more meat on the bone, and there's more athletes out there that could come and, you know,
Yeah,
kick my time's butt by using whatever route they want to get up and
exactly.
down the mountain. So
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
we'll see. Stay tuned, man. But
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah, according to the man that had the record, we're good. So
Okay,
if
yeah.
he cared, if he doesn't care, then I don't think they should.
No, exactly, yeah, it's fastest known time, so now, people know about your time, so there you go, you got the fastest known time.
Yeah, no,
Who cares what a
it's
website says, you know?
exactly.
Yeah. Well, so you have the Cape Town 100K,
Yes,
this
sir.
year, then you're gonna switch up to bartending, backcountry skiing. Anything on the horizon next year other than coming back and beating your own time on this route?
Yes, I really wanna go spend well, Worlds,
Okay.
I want a Team USA jersey so bad.
Yeah.
That's the number one goal for next year is to
Okay.
be in shape and put myself in a place where I can qualify for the Worlds team and be on that team. That's number 1. Number 2 would definitely be, the, Mount Whitney Mountaineers route.
Oh,
So I really
cool.
wanna go try my hand at that one, go back to the Grand and do that again, and then, honestly, that's it. I mean, long term, I'd like to do that Grand Traverse, try to go
Yeah.
for Nick Elson's time on that, but that's a, 2 to 5-year project. I
Oh,
would
wow.
really, really have to spend a lot more time in the climbing gym in the winter and, get that dialed, but definitely
Yeah.
some more FKTs in the future, worlds, and, we'll fill in the blanks.
Now, do you know where the world's, as far as the championship would be next year? Has that been announced?
I can't remember if it's Spain.
In
I
Spain?
think I
Okay.
think it's been talked about, and I've talked to people about it, but I'm like on the US side of it, we haven't announced which races are
Oh, okay.
qualifiers yet. So yeah, I don't really know. I think it's definitely in Europe. Um,
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure which country though.
Did they, didn't a couple years ago, they make certain, like, FKT routes qualifiers as well? Like, I thought that it's not just a race, but there were certain FKTs. Like, I feel like the Boulder Skyline Traverse was one year. I could be wrong about that.
So yeah, that wasn't for Worlds. That was for the Solomon Golden Trail World Series. So
Yes, that's what okay.
Solomon did Golden Trail World Series, they did their qualifying routes because of COVID. So
Right.
anyone who got the fastest time on those routes would be
Okay.
invited to the.
Okay.
I think they did it in the Azores.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it, but they did it there that year.
Okay. So, but for Worlds, it is an actual race. That's a qualifying race. You have to, I'm assuming, probably win or get second place, something like that to qualify?
Yeah, I think they
Okay.
do top two at certain races, and then they have one spot that goes to application.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, I'm sure with, the amazing things you've done in the mountains and you'll continue to train and get ready for that next year. I know you mentioned you had a coach earlier, but do you have a coach now or is it a different coach?
So I don't have a coach currently. Um, I do collaborate with a good friend of mine,
Oh, cool.
and kind of like come up with ideas and whatnot, but that's about it. I do. I don't know. I've I know myself. I know my body. I know what I need,
Yeah.
what I don't need. So I do like to make my own schedule, sometimes to my own detriment. But that's why I have somebody to talk with those things about and make sure
Yeah.
I don't, shoot myself in the foot by doing too much.
Yeah. Well, once you've done it for so long, and especially at a high level, like you said, you know your body better than your coach will ever know your body. So, you know what your body needs, and you can, I'm sure, train yourself just fine. There's plenty of people out there that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Michelino, it has been awesome hearing about not just this FKT, but your running journey through life and all these awesome things you've accomplished. And I look forward to seeing the outcome of this FKT controversy right now with the current one, and following you on the Cape Town, South Africa. That's going to be awesome to see that also because that's a race I generally pay attention to every year also. So it'll be cool to see how you do out there and wish you luck. And appreciate you coming on. It's been great hearing your story, man.
Steven, thanks for having me, man. I'm super stoked to be here. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on and listening and letting me share with everybody.
Absolutely, man. All right. Well, have a good one and good luck in Africa.
Thank you, dude. Cheers.
If If you enjoyed this episode of The Adventure Jogger, please consider joining our Patreon and be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok for more content like this. Without your continued support, we would not be able to produce this type of content. So thank you so much to everyone that has listened, followed along, subscribed, liked, commented, you name it, donated on Patreon. Thank you.